Welcome back to another episode of Tell Me Sis podcast, featuring your two favorite sisters, Alex
and
Kyla.
And we have a very special guest here with us today. I'm going to do the read-off.
Wait, you didn't memorize my intro?
No,
okay. Our cousin Cristina.
Well, we could do that, but I wanted it to be a little bit more like...
Yeah, we do. We want to introduce...
A little more formal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have a very special guest with us today, our cousin Cristina Rosato, who's also a very well-known actress. I have a little synopsis that my sister and I wrote down that we want to read because I'm very proud of it. And I'm also a very emotional person. And literally reading this off out loud, I was like crying. Aww. I don't know why.
Aww.
It's okay. I almost cried on the way here.
So in this special episode, we sit down with our cousin, actress Cristina Rosato, whose journey in the entertainment industry is as inspiring as it is grounded in authenticity. With a career that spans film, television, and voice work, Cristina has carved out a space for herself through sheer talent, perseverance, and passion. But beyond the red carpets and scripts, Cristina recently embraced a new and deeply personal chapter, becoming a mother at the age of 39. We dive into her upbringing, the values instilled in her from family, and how her roots have shaped the woman she is today. Cristina opens up about the challenges and joys of motherhood later in life, how it's changed her perspective, and what it's like balancing this new role with her life on screen. This episode is a candid, warm, and inspiring look at life, career, and evolving identity on and off the stage.
How great is that?
I love it.
I went over it a few times, and I was like getting emotional because I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so proud of you girls too.
And it's so crazy that
I used to change their diapers. Like actually.
We're family, but we also are so in awe of each other as women, but also in our careers.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so it's pretty cool. So Kyla and I were thinking like, we just really want to deep dive you.
Yeah.
And just get into the nitty gritty of things.
I love it.
And I'm also very curious about your job.
Yeah.
Because it's fascinating.
It's crazy.
Coming up with questions was so much fun because as I started writing them, I was like, oh my God, there's actually so many things that I want to talk about with you. Because
awesome.
it's, your life is very relatable in certain ways.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you became a mom at the age of 31, which is like 39. 39.
Yeah.
Which is very inspiring for a lot of women.
Yeah.
Definitely becoming a mother at 39 was, I mean, a lot of my friends actually became mothers later on in life, especially because I think most of my friends are in a similar industry where you kind of want to try to get your career kind of off the ground a little bit and before you sort of take time off to become a mom. But then you ask yourself, like, when is a good time to take time off? And the answer is never.
It's never a good time.
But it happens when it happens. And I feel very fortunate that it happened. And it was good. I mean, everybody was talking about it being a geriatric pregnancy.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, we need to change that word, everybody. I don't know if there's anybody who can change the word listening to this.
After 35, you're considered
geriatric, which maybe made sense a long time ago, but I feel like our health and our lifespan is so much longer.
Yeah.
I know so many women getting pregnant like well into their 40s.
Yep. Yeah.
Granted, it's more difficult, but it's difficult for women in their 30s too. So I'm like, I don't know.
Like I'm already 32 and people are starting to bring up like, are you going to freeze your eggs?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And I'm still very much single.
Yeah. And that's fine.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So I always told myself, like at this point now, at least in my life, not always, but at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, if I do end up having kids, it's definitely going to be when I'm like in my later 30s, early 40s.
You're fine.
And it does kind of like freak me out a little bit because I'm like, do I have to freeze my eggs?
I can't answer that question because that's like I feel like it's so personal, like person to person.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I looked into freezing my eggs when I was like 36, but I was already with my partner who I'm with now, who I had a child with. And my doctor was like, the fertility doctor that I went to go finally see was like, because I was worried, like maybe I can't get pregnant. I didn't know. So I went to make sure everything was fine. And she was like, yeah, you're fine. I was like, should I freeze my eggs? And she was like, well, to be honest, if you're with the person right now that you're planning on having a family with, no, just do it. But if you're single still at that point, then maybe it'd be worth it.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's so personal.
I know just science-based, the earlier you get your eggs frozen,
the better
more chances you have of like a healthier pregnancy, like all that kind of stuff. So,
and getting and retrieving more eggs.
Exactly, because the older you get, the less ovarian reserve you have, and the less healthy eggs you have.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I don't know all of this like science. Like
I don't know all this science.
I don't understand any of this. Like my sister was explaining it to me one time, and she was like, she's like, the younger you are, then the more like eggs you can actually freeze, or like the more
viable eggs. You know what's insane? That why don't we know all these? I didn't know either, by the way, before I became pregnant. When you're trying to get pregnant and you become pregnant, like you figure everything out. Yeah. But like it is not taught.
I know.
Women's health, and this is something I've been like listening to a lot of doctors now just because I love listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to this one doctor, Mary Claire Haver, and she's like a menopause specialist. And she studied medicine, and you know, at the beginning you study sort of general medicine, you have to do everything. And they dedicated, she studied in the US, I can't remember where, but they dedicated 1 hour every 6 to 8 weeks on menopause. Wow. And by the way, menopause affects every single woman for a third of their lives, has insane side effects and symptoms. Like truly, when you find out about menopause, it's really our like mom's generation like just didn't talk about it. They just talk about like hot flashes.
That's it.
It's so much more than that. And
really,
and it was never, it was like nobody researched it or studied it, and there were some like false studies that came out about the hormone replacement. Anyway, I don't want to get into it, but I'm starting to like read about it.
There's
and
so
it's
much,
insane. And will also be just because they don't do a lot of medical studies on women.
Yeah, wonderful.
All the like dosage for medication, all the things are for men. It's all dosed for, anyway. All that to say, I feel like there's a lot of information out there. There's not a lot of information out there.
Yeah, but thankfully there are doctors, like you're saying, that go on podcasts and they talk about these things, and
has a huge reach.
It's just sad that we have to educate ourselves.
It is, and like just we are the people who make more people. I know. So how are we not more? You know,
I have hope
in
for
the
not more advanced too, where it's like there's just so much more knowledge out there that like women learn from such a young age.
Yeah.
Because this is actually very important.
But also, everyone should be learning it, not just women.
Men should
like everybody needs to learn about everybody, and you know, because anyway.
Yeah,
that's my rant. Rant ended. Yeah, but
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I do want to start talking a little bit about your upbringing and our background, because like I said earlier, we are cousins
and very close.
Yes.
Yeah, we grew up very close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christina's mom was my dad's older sister.
Yep.
Family of 5. And so we got a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, because obviously there's a bit of an age gap between us, but I wanted to know, like, in your early years, were you more of like the entertainer of the family? Like, would you say you were more reserved?
I was so shy.
Really?
Yeah, I was painfully shy. I think your mom always tells me the story about the first time she met me.
Okay.
I remember it so clearly because I was really little. I must have been like 4, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
I think around that age. And I remember when your dad, Aldo, who's like everyone's favorite uncle. Well, also our other uncle's amazing, but like Aldo's really fun. He's like the loud, he's just really fun. Yeah. Love you, Uncle Rick. And Uncle Mike. Okay. Anyway. So I remember him bringing your mom, Viv, home. And your mom, all of the women in our family are like not super tall. I would say like my mom was 5'2", Linda's 5'2", like Leanna's a bit taller, but anyways. Your mom is like 5'9".
Yeah, she's tall.
She's tall and so beautiful. And I remember her coming in and I was just like, oh, whoa, like I was in awe of her. And her memory of me was just this little girl like just staring at her like so shy. Yeah, I was very shy and very quiet. And as I grew up, like as I was still very young, I remember I used to blush a lot.
Okay.
And I used to get very embarrassed by that feeling. Like anytime I felt like I was on the spot, I'd feel my cheeks go red, and I felt very uncomfortable because people would always like, "Oh, you're blushing," and you're like, "Yeah, thanks, I know."
Yeah,
like, thanks for pointing it out. Like,
can't help it.
Yeah, I was little, you know, and that kept me in a lot until I got over it. It was a phase that passed, but I remember it very clearly. And I think I remember wanting to be more outgoing, but I was so shy.
Okay.
I felt like kind of like in a shell. And then it
And then, because I was going to say, like,
broke out.
Yeah, then I broke out.
Our memories of you are very outgoing and like very just friendly and open and inviting. And granted, we are your cousins, so it's a little different. But I remember like your friends coming over all the time.
But we're younger too, so like by the time we were old enough to really remember, like you were already.
I was older.
Exactly. Now, do you have a memory of when you kind of started to come out of your shell?
I don't really remember, but I do remember, like, I think a lot of it, and like I've come to realize it through a lot of therapy, is that because my first language was Italian, like I only spoke Italian till I was like 4 or 5-ish, I think.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke some English, but my parents went back to work pretty much right after they had me, like my dad like 2 days later, because there was no paternity leave. And my mom also pretty quickly after. And so my grandparents and great-grandparents took care of me. And they only spoke Italian. Like they're from Italy and literally did not speak English or French. So all I spoke was Italian all day long. And then my parents wanted me to speak Italian. So when they came home at night, they would speak Italian to me as well. And so when I started school, that was a whole other thing. I had a really tough time in school. I like never wanted to go. So I finally started kindergarten.
Was it French or English?
It was French school.
Okay.
I went to French school, and the only reason I liked it was a convent. And the nun, I went to a convent, and the nun who was my teacher, I remember her so well. Her name was Suora Maria Donata, and she was Italian.
Okay.
And so she would speak Italian, so I felt like really comfortable with her. And there were a lot of Italians in my school. We were like in an Italian neighborhood. And so that helped me feel comfortable being in an environment that wasn't like my grandparents' house. And I would just stay next to her all day. But I think that's where my shyness stemmed from, because I didn't like communicate well with the other children. There was a language barrier. Again, I did like speak English and in French, but I spoke like only Italian at home. And so that was like a bit of a thing. And then I think I just got over it. I don't know how, to be honest. I don't remember, but yeah, I think also having a lot of cousins and hanging out with the family a lot, and our family's very outgoing.
Did you speak Italian to your bro?
No, so my brother and I are like almost 6 years apart. And so once he came along, I was already French school, speaking English at home. I think my parents were like, okay, we need to like, you need to speak English at home, you know?
So Rick doesn't speak Italian?
No, he does. He does speak Italian, but not as much as I do.
Okay.
Or now he does, because he took his own interest in it. But as like a child, he didn't, because he didn't spend as much time, I think, with my grandparents as I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually super interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Because I know for my dad, he said it was the same thing for him. He grew up speaking only Italian. He actually went to English school. So he learned English in school and French and like...
That's so interesting. I wasn't allowed to go to English school because the
rule had changed by the time
okay.
My dad...
For the people who don't know, we should probably tell them about this rule. I don't know who watches.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah. So in Quebec, I don't know the exact rule, but basically if your parents are immigrants, which my dad was born in Italy, your children are not allowed to go to English school. You have to go to French school.
But even if your mom went to English school? Because your mom went to English school the same as my dad.
I don't know the details of it. I don't know why.
Is it because he's the man and he's the immigrant, so then automatically it just kind of cancels out?
No, typically,
with your mom?
I hate that if it's true.
I know.
That's it.
It's like that's the only thing that I
don't know.
Typically, if you have one parent, but this is the rule now, so maybe it was different.
Maybe it was different, or maybe I got it wrong. Who knows? But all I know is or maybe they wanted to put me in French school, but I'm pretty sure I had to go to French school because of that.
Yeah, because I know that like if you have one parent that has gone to English
school,
secondary school, or maybe primary, I don't remember, then you can send your kid. It's a whole complicated thing. We live in Quebec, so it's very much like a language.
Very language focused.
Yeah, language focused here. It's very important in our culture.
Okay, so like did you have any, when you were a kid, did you have any, like, do you have any memories of, like, what sparked your interest in acting? And if so, do you remember what your experience was like when you told your parents you wanted to be an actress? Like, how did that go about?
I actually remember it so clearly.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. I was like probably 7, and I was watching Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. Oh my gosh! And up until that point, I was like 6, 7. I remember it clearly, but I think it was 6 or 7. But up until that point, I had wanted to be like an astronaut, a race car driver, Tina Turner, Madonna. Madonna lasted like a while. Anytime people would come over, they would get a Madonna show.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
I would be like 5 singing like a virgin. Like, I had no idea. I knew all the words. Well, anyway.
I actually had no idea.
Oh my God, I put on shows, which is so funny because then I went through a shy phase, but I guess I wasn't that shy earlier. Maybe it happened like something must have happened in school or something, you know, but all I know is like my parents would have dinner parties and I would, if there were other kids younger than me or even older, I would like put on a show. I would choreograph costumes and we'd have to come down and everybody would have to watch us and we would like sing Madonna in choreography.
I love that.
Yeah. No videos in those days, but that it doesn't exist, right? But anyways, so yeah, I remember watching Indiana Jones. Have you guys ever seen Indiana Jones?
Yeah,
okay, perfect. Course. And I remember being like, oh, I want to be an archaeologist. Like that's such a cool job. And then it kind of hit me while I was watching it that Harrison Ford, who plays Indiana Jones, wasn't actually an archaeologist, but he was an actor.
Yeah.
And because he was an actor, he got to do so many jobs. Ooh. And that was what originally drew me to it. Because I was like, ooh, this way I could do so many things. Like, because I had an interest in so many things. And I remember my mom was downstairs making sauce. Yeah, classic. Yeah, so stereotypical. And I was like, Mom, I want to be an actress.
And you're like a child.
I was a child. And she was like, oh, really? How come? And I was like, well, because you get to like, you don't have to pick one. You can do so many things. And she was like, that's such a great idea. Yeah. You know? And like, that was kind of that. Because she was like, you're 6. Like,
well, that's the thing. Like, as kids, you just say you want to be something, and the parents are like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, but what's cool is that you actually like stuck to it.
Yeah, and then like, I guess I always thought about it, but we didn't do anything about it. My family wasn't in the entertainment industry. Like, they didn't like put me in it or anything like that. But I was involved in like school theater and stuff like that. And then when I was in grade 5, I remember taking, this is like actually not a good story, but anyways, I remember taking like an after school drama course at my elementary school. And the teacher, I remember like my best friend at the time told her that she thought she like really had what it took to be an actress.
Okay.
And like, but didn't tell me that.
Oh, weird.
And I was so heartbroken about it. I remember like writing in my diary about it because I was like, oh my God, like, I don't have what it takes. Like, what does this woman know? And like, why are you saying that?
And you guys are so young.
Yeah. Anyways, so I feel like that lit it under me though.
Yeah.
You know, like there's always that thing that I was like, I'm going to show her whatever her name was. Like, I don't even remember her. But yeah. And so after that, I guess I always still wanted to do it, but didn't know how to go about it. Again, didn't have anyone really in the entertainment industry in my family. And then... and
on top of it, you're in Canada.
I'm in Canada. Like, my parents are scientists.
Yeah,
like,
it's not like
a thing. Yeah, Italians. They're like, you're going to go be a doctor. Or like a lawyer. Yeah. You know, literally. Yeah. But I did have a cousin who was in the entertainment industry, but he was a lot older than me. And at that time, we weren't super close yet. My cousin Bruno. Yeah. And then... we started getting closer and I found out he was in the entertainment industry and he started guiding me when I was like 17.
Okay.
Being like, here's an agent you can go talk to. And then that agent that I went to talk to recommended me to an acting coach.
Okay.
And that's when I started taking acting classes and getting an agent like around 17, 18.
Wait, so that started here in Montreal?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah. And when I started taking those acting classes with the most amazing acting teacher who is not around anymore. She passed away. Her name was Jacqueline McClintock. She was just like a mentor to me. We became so close and for years. Like we were really, really close. And she just unlocked the thing in me that was like, this is really what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I went to acting school and took it really seriously, like way later. So,
yeah.
That's when you went to LA, right?
Yeah, I went to LA, but I went like when I was 21 or 22. So it was a bit later. Like I had started acting a little bit and getting a few gigs here and there.
In Canada
and in Montreal mostly. Yeah. And then I decided my acting coach was like, you know, if you really want to do this, you should really probably like go study, like really dedicate yourself to it.
Did you have a conversation with your parents? Like,
oh yeah, I remember this. I actually remember this very clearly because I was in university at Concordia studying marketing because I was like, I was very good at math and all these things. And so I was like, oh, I'll just like do this, whatever. Yeah. I didn't want to do it, but my parents were like, you have to go to university. You have to do this. You have to. So I was doing it and I just hated it so much. I was like this, I just had no interest. Yeah. And I remember I was in my 3rd semester and because I was like 21 or something. So I had done, it was like January and I had to study because we had exams in January. Yeah. And I was cramming as I always did, like, as I never went to class. And at the last minute I would cram it. I would just go to the ones I had to hand in my assignments, whatever. Like I just hated it. And I was cramming. And I had a long conversation with my cousin Bruno because it was right before my birthday. So he had called me for my birthday. It was January 6th, right? So it was like the night before or something. And we ended up getting into a long conversation and he kind of inspired me to like follow he's like, you really gotta like, if you want to really do this, you gotta really focus and dedicate your life to it, you know? And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and because I was cramming, you know? And I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this exam. Wow. I'm not doing this. I'm not going back to school. I'm not like, sorry, I'm not like, I dropped out. But like, anyways, like spoiler alert. Yeah. But I was like, I wasn't dropping out because I was like, I don't want to go to school. I was just like, I really want to do this something else. Like this is, and I felt like if I continued this degree and how hard it was and the years that it would take to finish it, that I would just sort of end up doing something I didn't really want to do. Yeah. Because you're just like, the more time you spend away from it. And so, also, am I talking too much?
No.
Okay.
No. You're literally the guest.
Yeah, okay,
perfect. It's meant to be like
perfect.
Cut out whatever you need to.
No. Like, this is like, we want this.
My daughter talks so much, and my partner's like, wonder why. Anyway, so maybe she gets it from me.
Listen, you're both actors.
Yeah, that's true, but he's quiet. Anyways, kind of, yeah. So it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I went to wake up my mom.
Stop.
Yeah. I was like, hey, Mom. She's like, yeah. I'm like, we need to talk. And she's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but like, we need to talk. And she was like, okay. I'm like, I don't want to finish university. I want to stop. And she's like, what? Yeah. I'm like, I want to go to acting school. And she's like, okay, can we talk about this in the morning? I was like, no, we need to talk about this now because I have an exam tomorrow. So I need to know we can do this, you know? So she came downstairs, we made some tea, and like, we chatted, and I like really told her how I felt. And my mom, who is like truly the most amazing person ever, was like, okay. If I see that you're really passionate about this. I know you've been talking about it for a long time. You've been doing it. And she's like, I will support you on this, but I will support you on this only if you do it and you study it. Yeah. Like, you go to school and you study. I will 100% support you on this. And I was like, okay. And that was it. Yeah. And I found a school. I did tons of like research. I did auditions and figured out where I wanted to go. And that was a whole other journey. But, and my parents were amazing because during my time in school, they were like, we're going to support you, which is so fortunate. Like I had so many friends who didn't have their parents' support, like financial support and everything. And they were like, you don't have to work so long as you're in school. Because also I went to school in the US, you're actually not allowed to work. Yeah. So that was another thing. But they wanted me to focus and do this properly. Yeah. And so I took time off with my agent and time off because you're not allowed auditioning while you're in school, which is scary because I was like, oh, and my agent at the time, who I ended up leaving, was not super supportive. She was like, oh, I don't know if this is a good time to like get off the market. Like I was like 20, like who cares? Like,
were they in LA?
No, they were in Montreal.
Oh,
yeah. They're just always like, you know, there's many. They want to make money. Yeah. And anyway, yeah, it's such a, like, there's so many intricacies to the story, but basically over the time of school, we ended up parting ways very amicably and everything. And then I found my agent who I'm still with.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We had actually done a photo shoot together before I was in acting school when I was like 17 or 18. I had posted it on my Instagram like a couple months ago, actually. I met her at a photo shoot, and my cousin Bruno was the one who connected us because he's friends with her, named Sandy Martinez. And she is just this amazing person, like truly through and through. And we did this like Dolce Vita style photo shoot because they wanted like an Italian, like Sophia Loren vibe for it. And so I did that, and we did this shoot, and we spent the whole day together, and she was an agent. And she was like, oh my God, like, she was so cool and so interested. And I told her I wanted to go to acting school. We kept in touch, and I told her I wanted to go to acting school later. And she was like, okay, like, that's amazing. I think that's a great idea. And then when I graduated and came back, we were at my cousin's birthday party at like Sophia nightclub. I don't know if you remember that place, but anyway.
No.
And she was there, and I had already left my previous agent, and I told her, she was so interested about my acting school and how it went. And she asked me like, who's like, are you repped? And I told her I wasn't. And she was like, I would love to rep you. And I remember being like,
you just felt so good.
Yeah, because I loved her and I like wanted that, but didn't know how, and we've been together ever since. Like,
wow, that's when you know.
Yeah,
for sure. So is that how it normally works? Like when you want to get an agent when you're an actress, like what's the process? Like, is it?
There's so many ways to get an agent. Montreal is a small like city, and so it's very different. A lot of like word of mouth. She was really good friends with my cousin, still is, and we had gotten to know each other like here and there through the years, and so that helped. But in general, like, I've other agents I've gotten through like referrals. Like I've been like, okay, I want an agent in Toronto, so she connected me with an agent she works with.
Okay.
But you can also do like, back in the day, I remember when I graduated from school, I did like cold email, like mailed headshots with my resume and like a cover letter to agents and go for meetings and stuff like that. Like I did that. That doesn't work anymore. And generally you have to go through references, like referrals. No, like, unless it's a real starting out agency, they'll take more emails because they're interested in like helping someone start their career. But once you're already a little bit more established, it's more referrals.
Okay.
Yeah. It's pretty tough to get an agent in the US. It's a bit of a different process.
Okay. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about acting school because I remember I watched you graduate.
Yeah, I remember you came.
Yeah, so I used to want to be an actress back in the day. And your mom was like, hey, if you're interested, come with me.
Oh my God.
To go watch Cristina graduate.
Like,
literally the best.
Yeah, the best, yeah.
And she was like, let's go watch her. It's her graduation. There was a whole performance and like a ceremony afterwards and everything. And she was like, just see what it's like. And I remember being so intimidated.
Were you?
Well, because first of all, watching you act on stage, one thing is it's very different.
Yeah, I did like classical theater training. Yeah.
So when you're acting on stage, like, first of all, I'm sitting next to my aunt who is clearly very emotional watching you. Oh. And then I'm watching you act, but it doesn't feel like you're acting.
Yeah.
So I was like, and you were like giving birth or something.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, I remember being so emotional and like, whoa, and like, also, you know me, I was so shy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could never do that. Oh yeah. So it was like an eye-opening experience in that way of like, maybe not for me, but like very supportive. But I was like, oh my gosh, like that was actually so cool to see that. And then you were like introducing me to your friends.
Yeah, I remember like, so well. Yeah.
And it was just really cool. So do you want to talk a little bit about that schooling process? Are you happy that you did it?
Oh, I'm so happy I did it. And I always, like, any person who I speak to who says they want to go to acting school, I'm like 100% the best experience ever. And hardest because you really like delve into your emotions and all those things, and I was very homesick and anyways, it was like very challenging, but I have the best memories from acting school. And what and the other thing that I think I also always want to make sure people understand is like there's like amazing schools like Juilliard and all these like big acting schools, which awesome if you can get into and afford, but like you don't need to go to the best acting school. Just the pure fact that you're going to be acting every day. Yeah. That's it. Learning and meeting people and memorizing and putting yourself out there and pushing your boundaries of your comfort zone, like all those things, like that's what is the important thing. Yeah. And so, I mean, I loved the school that I went to, but I think any acting school will provide that experience.
Was your acting school based only in LA?
There was a New York campus. Okay. Funny story. I actually started at the New York campus.
Really?
Yeah. I had actually, we got an apartment and everything, and I had started in New York. And at the time I was like in a really rough relationship. Okay. Which I don't even want to get into because like I don't even want to put energy on it. But like it felt a little too close. And then also I was like, wait a minute, like why am I going to like school in New York when I could be somewhere with like palm trees?
Yeah. Like warm weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Beaches, palm trees.
And that suits your vibe
way more. And so anyways, so I ended up like switching and I went to school.
I also feel like when you're in LA, that's a really good spot for when you're an actress too, right? Like you meet people, you network, like you make connections.
So is New York, to be honest. Yeah, like I love New York, but LA was great. I'm such a like beach girl, and I would go to the beach sometimes in the morning before school, so even though it was far. I would like hustle, and then I'd just like sit outside and the palm trees and that whole novelty, like when you're from Montreal where none of that exists, was really nice.
Because you were in WeHo, right?
Yeah, I was in WeHo, and then I moved around a lot after that, and I was like in LA, on and off in LA until 2019.
Really?
Well, I had moved back, but then I went back, and it was like a lot of back and forth.
Wait, I do remember that actually. I remember you still being in LA like
till like right before the pandemic. COVID. Exactly.
Yeah. I actually have a memory from you must have like been in LA the first time and come back for the first time to see the family or whatever. Yeah. I have this memory, and I was quite young, and you had gone out of a car. I think you were with your friend, and we were at your house in TMR. Yeah. And I ran to the front door because they're like, Christina's home, and you ran up the front. First of all, you were in these blue baggy jeans with rips in the knees.
I know the ones.
You had like a tight top. You were so tan. Your hair was blown out. Like it was literally like you're walking down this runway, the wind blowing in your hair, and you're like, "Hi, like big arms open, smile, like so happy. In my head in that moment, I was like, that is the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just like so, you're just very captivating.
You know what I used to do when I was in high school, grade 7?
Tell me.
You know those pictures, those headshots you had, and like they were black and white?
Yeah.
So I used that to my advantage to get a boy who had a crush on me to acknowledge me. What? I took that picture because I think like your mom had sent them out to the family.
Oh my God.
I stole
she
it.
would, yeah.
I stole it from my family. I was hanging it up in my locker in high school.
Oh my God.
Because his locker was just like a few down from me. And I was like, if I hang up a picture of my cousin Cristina in my locker, he's going to look and he's going to start talking to me because he's going to find her pretty. Oh my God. And it worked.
Oh my God. That's actually so funny. Well, amazing, Kyla. Like, that's very smart. But oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that my mom sent this out.
No, it was a beautiful picture, though.
Yeah, you know for sure. But like, they're headshots. Like, mom, come on, you know.
Nowadays, a headshot is cringe. But like, at the time,
honestly, like, if my kids had headshots, like I'd be like so
I would
proud.
probably do the same thing, honestly.
Like,
but
oh
like,
God, they're so cute.
Yeah, and like professional and like yeah.
But it's not even just a looks thing. You have this aura about you. Like your personality, first of all, you're very kind. You have a huge heart, just like your mom. But I find when people talk to you, they feel comfortable. And I've always felt this way too in your house. The energy in your house growing up was very, and maybe it's different because we didn't live there. You know,
no, it felt very comfortable for
like,
sure.
Like it was very like, and just based off of what you're saying of like how supportive your parents were and like, that is, I love that so much.
I'm very fortunate. My brother and I we talk about that a lot. Like how supportive our environment is very fortunate. Yeah. Yeah. My brother also, too, like he's like, I want to be a jazz musician. My parents like, okay, like, you know what I mean?
But it's because they could see the passion.
Yeah. And they wanted to encourage it. And also my parents, because they both came from like poor Italian families, like my father, when he was young, like his dream was to be an artist, but he couldn't do that. Like that wasn't an option. My mom wanted to be a dancer when she was little. Yeah, but they couldn't afford dance classes. Like, so I think they both had this inner passion that they both wished they had like the ability to follow, and so I think they really wanted to like, you know, nourish that in us.
I think that's why
nourish.
No, it makes sense.
I guess I'm hungry.
But my dad was the same with me. He wanted to be a musician.
Yes, exactly.
And he couldn't. And when he
was like that with the Chantomos though. They all had like, they were very like musical, artsy, like they had these passions, and they all ended up like going to school and getting very good degrees, and they became very successful. Like educationally, and so I feel like that's why like all the cousins, like we were kind of just like pushed kind of to do what
I think so, but also our generation is so different. Like our parents are like first generation Italians. Like our grandparents came from Italy and hustled like from nothing to like make a life and a comfortable life and put food on the table and that's just such a different, like, you tell them you want to go into the arts. It was just such a different, like,
they're
unattainable.
Like, no, like school.
No, make money and get yourself a comfortable life. Like, my grandfather was, like, not happy that I was going in to be an actress.
This Nono?
No, Mario, on my dad's side. No, I think... I don't remember him ever talking to me about it. Like, I don't remember it ever really being a thing. But Nonno Mario was, like, really... Because also Nonno Mario... Like, my dad's side of the family is who I spent... Most of my time was because after Nonna Ma died, did you ever meet Nonna Ma?
She passed away when my mom was pregnant with me.
Okay,
so I never met her. Yeah. But then Nono moved back to Italy.
Well, exactly, and so we were close, but not as close as.
I mean, you were living.
I was like living with them.
They were
basically
bringing you up.
100%. They were pretty much my parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Like not obviously not.
Yes, but like
my dad traveled a lot when I was young. Like my dad, like I ask him sometimes for things. Like when I was little, he's like like, who can I ask?
I know.
My mom's not here, my nonna's not here, my nonna, like none of them. So I asked like Linda and Leanna, and they know a lot of things, but they weren't there all the time.
Like,
and they were also young. Linda had her own kids, and Leanna was young. So
your dad is so funny though.
I know. He's like, I don't know.
Didn't know. I had a conversation with your dad the other day when we were all downtown.
Yeah, he was so happy to see you, by the way.
Gosh,
he was like so happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
But he was like, you know, when Cristina came to me and she said she wanted to be an actress, there was a part of me when I remember we decided, you know, all together as a family, like, okay, yeah, for sure. And he said, I wanted to be an artist.
Yeah.
And he goes, and I wish I could have had the opportunity to try that.
Yep.
And he's like, you know, she was so passionate. I could see it in her. I could see in Rick, you know, he was so musically talented. It's like, yeah. We had the means.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, listen, like, even if you don't have the means, people still go into acting.
Yeah, and just having the emotional support is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I was in your parents' position, I would have done the exact same thing.
Same.
Because it's like, you can see it in your children, like how passionate they are about something and them wanting to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And you did.
And we did. And that was the best thing ever, because it gave me so much confidence. Having parental support just gives you everything, you know?
It really, like, emotional support. When you just said that, I was like, honestly, emotional support is the most important thing.
It is the most important thing, more than anything.
Exactly.
It is hugely helpful. And the fact that I didn't have to worry about, you know, I wasn't like, they weren't like, here, do whatever you want, but they paid for my food, they paid for my apartment, and like whatever I needed, you know what I mean? I still got a job, but I still got a job because I was a hustler, and I was like, I need some cash. I want to like go shopping and do all those things. And Mom was like, that's you. I'm not buying you new jeans. You know what I mean? Like, obviously what I needed, but I ended up, I remember when I was first there, I was at a coffee shop. I was at Toast Cafe do you remember Toast? Yeah. And I was sitting with my friend at the time, and there was a table beside us who had like a little like 3-month-old. And I was so homesick at the time. And I was just like, I was like just like fawning over the baby, and I was like, oh my god, that little baby's so cute. And I was like, hi. And like we ended up chatting, and I was like, by the end of it, I was like, by the way, like, I know this is really weird. I was like, but I have a lot of cousins. I like grew up taking care of babies, and like I'm here and I'm homesick and I have time because like my school is only in the afternoons at the time. I was like, and I have time. So if you guys need like any help, like I gave them my number on like the back of the receipt, and they called me. And I ended up nannying for them like for 2 years.
I did not know this.
Yeah, I took care of, they lived really close to where I was. We were all at the same like breakfast spot. And I remember giving your mom as a reference.
I love that.
Because I was like, I literally like helped raise these 2 girls. Exactly. And so, and I was really young too. But like, well, and so they just like trusted me with their child, which now that I have a baby, I'm like, never. But they probably saw my vibe. I was so like,
I know. And I find that you can tell we're very picky with people watching.
Of course.
Like, and some people don't understand that.
No, I'm the same way.
I'm very, very picky. There's this one girl who was Arky's swim coach or swim instructor. Yeah. She is just like, we just love her so much that I would trust her with anything. Yeah. And so it's just you feel
you get the vibe. And I loved that little boy, you know, and it was really fun.
I feel like as a mom, I'm just gonna insert myself here, even though I'm not a mom, but because I oh my god, I have baby fever so bad right now.
But also you grew up with so many babies around you. Like,
I know, but then the older I got, like for the longest time, my sister can even like testify for this, like I didn't even want kids.
Right, yeah.
I was like, I don't really want kids. I think I just want to like
do your thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now I'm like, no, I want like at least one kid.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a mom, I would be very picky too.
Oh my god, it's like
it's
your child.
Asking someone to watch your child is like, it's not like a small thing.
The only people who have watched my children are you, my children, my one child. Yeah, Jan, who was watching Sienna, so that's totally fine. And then family.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's okay. And then the only person outside of my family is a nanny that we got in Toronto while we were in Toronto just recently. Yeah. And I met her and I was like, oh yeah, immediately yes. But other than that, no one.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it.
No one.
Yeah,
you know?
I get it.
So
it's really hard.
But also
really hard.
with family it's different too, because you know that it's like there's a different kind of love there too.
Totally. There is love there. Exactly. Like there is love there.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah.
It's weird because obviously I've known you like my whole life.
Yeah.
And I know so much about you, but I literally feel like I'm learning so much about you.
Well, because we never like go into these.
Yeah, it's like, why would I ever interview you?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's like so fascinating to me. I'm like, I never knew you had a job like that.
Yeah.
I never knew you nannied in LA.
I loved it. And then I got another job in LA.
Okay.
When second year, I met was it second year? Yeah, second year I went to like a Super Bowl party.
Okay.
And I was friends with a lot of people who were like writers and producers and actors because LA.
Yeah.
And I met this guy there who his name's Mark Goffman. We're still in touch.
Okay.
And he was a producer and a writer, and I was like talking and we were like chatting, and he was so lovely, and he needed an assistant, like a personal assistant, and
you're like, I'll do it.
I was like, I'll do it. And he was working on The West Wing at the point. He was like a producer and a writer on The West Wing. And I remember helping him like organize some video clips for something. And then I helped him with pictures. And then we ended up producing a play together. And I helped him produce it and cast it and everything. And he actually, like, we kept in touch. We're still in touch. And over the years, he came to my graduation play, actually, that you came to.
Maybe I was.
You might have met him. And then also he got me a job. Like, he worked on a show called Bull. He like got me an offer on that job. And like, so I was always like, I was such a hustler. I was like, anywhere I can like make some money, but I had to be like under the table because I wasn't like legally allowed to work. But like
everyone in LA does that.
Everyone else. Also, I wasn't like in an establishment. I was like a nanny and an assistant, you know, but it was amazing. So yeah, I wanted to have my own cash. I was very independent. Like I was like, I want to go for dinners. I want to buy stuff.
You want to have a bit of financial freedom that is not just your parents.
Well, exactly. You know, and they were like, yeah, sure. As long as it doesn't interfere with your school. And it was very flexible stuff. Like it wasn't like, you know, it was easy.
Did you find that there were a lot of challenges being in acting school and like just and having like a social life or feeling like, you know, like I need to get gigs, like I need to do this?
There was no pressure while I was in school because we weren't allowed to work.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that you said that.
So, no, but then afterwards.
So it was 4-year program?
2-year program.
2-year program. And then when you graduate, you could stay in LA?
You get a 1-year, like, student work visa.
Okay.
But that was also the year my mom was started getting really sick.
Okay.
And so I was in LA and coming back and going. And then I was, like, in LA one day. And I remember my mom called me with something that had happened. And I was just like,
I need to go home.
I need to go home. I was like, my heart is not here.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Like, this feels totally wrong. And so I went home. And then I was in Montreal for a while, you know. Okay. And I would go back to LA here and there, but like
your permanent residency like was
I was back in Montreal, exactly. And then a whole bunch of personal stuff, you know, in the interim, and then I ended up back in LA like later on.
Did you when you moved back to Montreal that time?
Yeah.
Did you move back in with your parents or did you stay
Yes,
somewhere?
I did move back in with my parents, but then I had also met somebody that we fell like deeply madly in weird love.
You don't even have to talk about it.
No, but just to like quickly whatever, and we got engaged like a month after dating. Not the guy I'm with right now. He's a lovely human being. I have nothing bad to say about him. We were just not a good match. It was just too fast, you know. But I was also in a very weird place in my life, and my mom was not well, and it was just like my emotions were all over the place, and so we moved in together. And at his place. And then I ended up getting my condo. Okay. And so it was all kind of the timeline. Yeah.
So you were mentioning that your mom wasn't doing well. And it's whatever you're comfortable talking about, obviously, because your mom meant so much to all of us because she was also our aunt.
Yeah.
I start crying.
Yep.
So she meant a lot to everyone in the family. And I wanted to chat about her a little bit because, you know, she was such an inspiration for you, inspiration for us.
Yep. Yeah. My mom passed away, gosh, I think it was 14 years ago this
2011
year.
in April?
Yeah. Yes. April 30th, 2011. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, she had Parkinson's disease, but actually it didn't like present like classic Parkinson's. She didn't have the tremors. She didn't have the classic. It presented more like ALS.
Yeah.
And so that was really quick and also really rough. Like she basically became kind of a prisoner in her body because her brain was super sharp. But she couldn't like speak. She couldn't walk. She couldn't hold her head up. Like it was so awful. She held on like until she couldn't anymore. Yeah. And my father, who was an actual angel, like took care of her. She died at home. Like it was really, my mom, like, God, I don't even know where to start. Like, it's so funny. On the way here, I was driving by, like, she used to work in the West Island, and I don't come to your parents' house often. And anyway, so I was like, oh my God, like this is the street she used to work on. Like there was like her building where she used to work. And I remember when I was young coming here, and then I was just like, whoa, she used to drive here like every day. Yeah. It just made me really emotional because
I didn't know she worked in the West Island.
Yeah, she worked in the West Island. Yeah, for like 20 years. And then she worked in Valleyfield.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I know.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't even know where to
begin. So, growing up, for one, your mom was just like the most fun person. Yeah. Like she was so funny. Yeah. And people used to always joke because she was extremely smart.
Yes, extremely. But she became like the CEO of a huge company. So
like, boss babe.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah,
honestly.
totally. Yeah.
And her and my dad are very similar.
Yeah.
And there's this saying with your mom and my dad that like they're extremely smart, but then they
screw off their head when they leave work and they
leave it at work and like their brains at work.
Yes.
So they're just like, in my perspective, like your mom was so fun and like so amazing, so supportive, so sweet, like just so comfortable.
Yeah.
To talk to him, to be around and like loving. You're very similar to her in a lot of ways.
Thank you.
And
a lot of people tell me that. Like, your dad often cries when he talks to me. He's like, you remind me so much of my sister. You know?
See, like,
it's
that's
wild.
what, like, I find that so frustrating for me. Not like that you guys are saying anything wrong, but like, I don't have memories of your mom before
she was sick.
got
because
really
she it was like what, 4 or 5 years of
exactly.
So it wasn't like something like this within like a few months.
No,
it was,
but it was
a
slow
quick,
decline.
But it was like
it took over her body.
Of it, you know. So like when I hear stories about your mom, or like I see home videos, like
you're like, whoa.
She was like, she loved me so much.
Oh my god, she loved you so much. She loved babies, like, and kids, and
but like I don't have memories of it. Like my only memories is like when she was like struggling to talk, hold a glass or speak and stuff. So it's like then I hear all these stories, which is obviously so nice. But I'm like, I wish I had those memories.
I know, you know? It's tough.
It's hard. I mean, it's kind of like we both never got to know our grandma.
Yeah, no.
And I hear a million stories about her, and I'm like, wow, I feel like she would have really liked us.
Oh my god, yeah. Definitely.
But
I mean, for sure.
I even like because I was 6 years old when he
passed. I was 11
away?
when he passed. It was right around like 9/11.
It was right before 9/11.
But then he lived in Italy, so that's why.
Yeah, like the day before.
Yeah.
But yes, it's true because
that all our family got stuck in Italy.
Oh my god! And then your mom was supposed to be in one of the towers.
Yes.
Wasn't she?
Yes, exactly. They had it, but she was stuck in Italy. Well, stuck.
Yes.
I mean, we were literally there the year before, like in September too.
That's
insane. Oh my god,
so scary.
But I wanted to actually ask. I wanted to ask you actually about what was your relationship with your mom like at home? Because obviously mother-daughter relationship, and like we both have daughters now.
Yes.
And so like we know it's not always perfect, but what was that like for you growing up?
I mean,
we know she was supportive. Clearly.
Oh yeah, she was very supportive and fun and. An incredible mother, like truly, and especially now that I'm a mother and like trying to balance work and motherhood and everything, and it's like I wish I could talk to her because you just honestly I processed, like I grieved her obviously after she passed, but like when I came home with my daughter, it was a whole like it hit me like a train. I couldn't stop crying. Hormones also, but like I just wanted her. I wanted my mom. I wanted to talk to her. I understood more. And I think so often now, and it comes up so often, this is not what you asked me. Sorry, it's a tangent, but whatever. I so often now, the more you discover as you become a mother, the more I'm like, oh my God, like those feelings she must have felt, like knowing she was dying and like all these things. And like, I just like, it's harder now.
Yeah. Like you have a different perspective.
It's much harder now.
Yeah.
And I often find myself like, oh my God, holy shit, you know? And it's part of it and I'm okay with it. And like, the whole, okay. No, it's not okay. But it's like a hole in your heart that doesn't go away. You just like learn to live with it is how I feel.
Yeah.
And also like, even just before when I was like looking at my daughter, I was like, oh my God, like my mom would have lost it. Oh my
God. Yeah.
You know, and I miss her so much. Like, it just is what it is. And it's a feeling I carry with me all the time. But I also feel like she's so much a part of me.
Yeah.
So that's also comforting in a way, but losing people sucks.
I know.
Hot take.
I mean, I like haven't experienced like obviously losing my mom, but like one of my really, really close friends just lost her mom, and like, so she was talking to me about it, and it was like, it was giving like just hearing what she was going through.
Yeah.
I was like really starting to like kind of like feel like heavy for her, and it was like it really, really.
It's really heavy.
Like messed with me.
Yeah.
Because it's like something that like you like her mom had cancer and she had it for a few years and like your mom had Parkinson's also, she had it for a few years, so it's like nothing prepares you for it, but like it's not like a sudden thing. So it's like, you know, it's going to be coming eventually, but then but like when it happens, like nothing can
prepare you
and
for
like
it.
there's nothing that like you could do to change it, you know. It's like it just happens, and like that's that.
I also think with your mom in specific, because she was almost like the pillar to the family.
100%. Yeah.
And I think that's what was, I mean, obviously we all love each other, but what was really hard for the siblings was that she was like the glue.
Well, because she was the eldest of 5.
Yeah.
And Nonna had 5 children, and Nonna worked like crazy. Like he worked nights, so he was, you know, and she died also pretty young, but like my mom became sort of like the mom for all of them. They also like her and her youngest sibling are like 16 or 18 years separate.
Yeah.
Like it's like pretty big gap, you know? So a lot of them were like her children in a way, you know?
So it's almost like they lost their
mom
twice.
as well. Exactly. Yeah. So that is really rough. That is really, it keeps on evolving it's very challenging. But what it has given me is like so much perspective. Yeah. Because there's like, it just puts things into perspective, because you losing someone so dearly and watching someone you love suffer so much is truly awful. Yeah. And so like, you know, don't sweat the small stuff kind of thing. Like it's a saying, and I still sweat the small stuff sometimes. Like I'm not perfect, but like it definitely changed me. Yeah. You know, in so many ways. My God, I lost my period for 6 years after my mom died.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Because of stress.
Because of stress and like shock and grief. It like changed my hormones and everything. So yeah.
How did you like cope?
I really did appreciate every person that came though. Yeah. Because it's in those times, like in those times when you really need what they, you know, when people say like your family and your friends are your like pillars of strength, I never like really understood what that meant until that moment. Because every person that called me, every person that sent me a message, every person that came, I was like, oh, thank you. Oh, like I needed all of, because I couldn't like stand on by myself. I felt, you know? Yeah. And every person like helped me. So even like a quick message made, like I would be like, okay. I don't know. It just, I found all of those like messages of condolences and like hugs and love, and like even though I didn't respond to anybody, I needed them all. Yeah. So something.
You also really, like, speaking to my friend, she was like, you really, when you lose someone and you're like grieving, especially like you're losing someone like your own parent,
but like, and young, not when they're like older. Exactly. Not that that's not difficult, but that's a different thing.
It's different.
And you were still young.
And she was like, you really learn like who your real friends are too.
Yes, definitely.
Because she was like, grief is like a thing that like it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Yes. And people like sometimes it makes them so uncomfortable that like they almost just like disappear. Like,
well, they just don't know how to handle it. Exactly. And I get it. Like you don't know what you think you're going to say the wrong thing or whatever, but
because I know you have a strong personality. Did you feel a little bit of like kind of like I have to like help my brother now and I have to be there for my dad? Like did you feel like a little bit of a responsibility in that sense?
I did, but I don't think it was like in any way negative, not that you're saying it is, but like I wanted to do that. You know, like I also found it comforting to be around my brother and my father and
lean on each other.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, you know, like I just wanted to be with the family, which is very normal. And so I definitely took that on myself, but I needed it also. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah. You need it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like part of your way of coping too.
Totally.
Where it's like, of course, especially your dad and your brother. Well, you want to be with them. Like, as much as possible.
We just wanted to be together.
Exactly.
So we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And so how long were you in Montreal then after?
I was in Montreal until, so she died, it was 2011 in April. And then in October, I booked a pilot. My first pilot is like a series regular, which is like the TV show. Yeah. And I went to film this. I remember my agent, my Vancouver agent at the time was like, she was like looking at the cast and she was like, it was in Calgary and she was like, oh, she's like, there's this, she's like, I know one of the actors on it. She was like, he's repped by one of my good friends. His name's Grayson Holtz. Like, I think you guys are really going to get along. And I remember looking him up and being like, he's cute. He's cute. Like whatever. And then the night I got to Calgary, it was like a few months after my mom died, like we were sitting, we had a read through of the pilot and we went to sit around the table and I remember sitting there and I remember seeing him in the corner and I just remember being like, shotgun.
You know what's so funny?
Yeah.
For your 29th birthday, I was 19. You were turning 29.
Yeah.
And I remember we went out, or no, maybe it was Steph's birthday. Anyways, you were 29 at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me about him, and it was before you guys ever started dating. I don't think you had ever even gone on a date yet. And you were like, this is the guy I'm going to be with. And I remember you showing me a picture of him.
Yeah, I played the long game with him because like I was not ready. Like I had just also lost my mom.
Yeah.
I had just finally officially gotten out of the engagement. Like it was on and off and kind of like, it was like murky.
And you're also about to work with this
And I was also about to work, but no, I mean.
That didn't matter.
No, we met and it was just like, it was immediate. Yeah, it was immediate. And we spent, like, we were actually there for like 3 weeks filming because it was like a 2-episode pilot. And we were like in this hotel and we were all there and it was so fun. And we just spent the whole time together.
Really?
And then after that, I went to Vancouver because my best friend Tanya was living in Vancouver. And so I was like, oh, I'll go spend a week in Vancouver because it was Calgary. It's very close. And my agent there. So I was like, I'll go there for a little bit and like show face, whatever. / like he lives in Vancouver. And then we ended up going to Mexico together with another castmate. Yeah. And we just like really hit it off. So we met and we spent like a month and a half solid together.
Wow.
Calgary, Vancouver, Mexico. And then we didn't see each other for a year.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you keep in contact?
Yes, but not that much.
Okay.
I just like, we spent this time together. We both like, I was like not in a place where I wanted to be in a relationship. Yeah. I was like, restraining order, like engagement that didn't go well. Like honestly, like I was like, my mom had just, I was like not in a place.
That's really like self-aware of you.
And I was doing a lot of therapy at the time. And I think, and that's another thing I say, like, I think the relationship I had with him and like attracting that type of like stable human being was like a direct reflection of all this therapy I did, because all of my previous relationships were not all like that.
Wow.
But so we spent a year without seeing each other, but we would text like once every 2 months. Or like very, very seldom. He was always on the back of my mind though. Mm-hmm. Like I would like meet other guys here and there. I was like not really dating. I would like meet people, but I was just like I really felt like I needed me time. I was like trying to get my health back and like all these things. And I just like always just thought about him.
Yeah.
So the next summer I went to Osheaga, this like a music festival with my best friend who was working at like, she helped organize the festival, and his favorite band, like I saw a poster of his favorite band that someone I know like made. Yeah. And so I was like, is it weird if I like buy him this and send it to him? Like we weren't like really talking. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just going to do it because it's a really cool poster and I think he'd love it. And like, I like him. So whatever. So I like rolled it up, sent him the thing, and he got it and he was like, what? Like he just like, we weren't even talking.
Yeah.
And we have it up in our house.
I'm taking note of this. Next time I have a crush on a boy, I want to
send him like a poster. Yeah.
Send him something, a little gift.
And we have it up in our house now. So.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. It's up in our bedroom, or it's in the living room. We keep moving it. Anyways, but so then the next year in October, I was like, I'm going to go spend a month with my friend Tanya in Vancouver / like I wanted to see if this was something. Because I was like thinking about him. I was like, okay, I need to know, like, do I really like this guy, or was it just like a hot fling, you know? And he picked me up at the airport, and we just like haven't like been apart since.
Oh my gosh, that's
crazy. We'd been physically apart.
Yeah.
We had long distance for a while, but like it was clear that like we were a thing.
Together.
But we like didn't ever like make it official or like talk about it because we were both just kind of like going with the flow.
And you're also both actors and you're both traveling a lot for work.
Exactly. And he was based in Vancouver and I was based in Montreal at the time. And
literally, if you guys are not aware, it's opposite sides.
Literally
of the
a 6-hour flight.
Like it's
for like
it's not quick.
No, not at all. But
and it's very expensive.
It's very expensive. Yeah, our relationship was very expensive. But yeah, we just like, it was great. And people like, how was long distance? And it was great because we both kind of liked our independence.
Yeah.
And I was very trusting and he was very trusting. And I never was like, where are you? What are you doing? Whatever. Like we just like check in here and there. And it was just fucking cool. Sorry for swearing.
I really like long distance. Like I have a thing with, when's the last time I actually dated? Well, okay, during COVID I had a relationship. But like I dated a guy for like almost like 4 years, 5 years, long distance. Yeah. Then there was a guy that I was in love with for the longest time, long distance, but like we weren't actually dating, but he lived in literal Europe.
Yeah, that's far. Yeah.
And then the last situation I was in, long distance, I was like, I think I have a thing for like long distance, and it's
very independent.
I'm very independent. Yeah. I feel suffocated if I'm living with someone. Like that's gonna be, I'm kind of scared.
No, don't worry about it, because I was the same way and he was the same way. Yeah. And like over time we just continued, because we continued being so independent, and like I never was like prying of his life, and him the same with me. You just trust that the other person is like there because they want to be, and we still have, even though now we have a child, so it's very different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, I still feel, I mean, the part of my independence that has been taken away is my child.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
motherhood is brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, but also brutal.
Yeah.
But it's not him that has
Yes.
taken away my independence.
Okay, yes.
You know
Like,
what I
your
mean?
relationship prior to having your daughter was still very much.
I would, like, if I wanted to go do something and
Yeah.
he couldn't, I would go.
Yeah.
And he would never be like, don't go. He'd be like, yeah, go. Like,
Well, that's literally even me and Dan. Even
Yeah.
though we've been living together for so long, it's
Yeah.
like if he wants to go do something or travel somewhere or do
Yeah,
something,
it's
it's
like,
very supportive of like
totally.
And then you miss each
See,
other.
like
Yeah.
that's what I need. I need someone who's not going to feel insecure with my independence, because I've
You'll find it.
dated
Yeah.
guys who
You'll
are like,
find it.
no, I love independent women. Like
Yeah.
I can't, like
Oh.
other girls who are more
Sorry, I think Brew just woke up, but I'll let her chill.
yeah.
needy. Like I really need an independent woman.
Yeah.
And then like the more we get to know each other, I'm like, oh no, you're like fully threatened by my
Yeah,
independence.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like and it's hard though to find
It
a guy
is.
that's actually like confident and comfortable
is.
with that. You
It
know, they
is.
need to be secure.
They need to be very secure. Yeah, we never had an issue with that. You know, every relationship has its own issues, but that's definitely not one of them. Like, and I really, really, really appreciate that.
Yeah. And it has to go both ways.
It has
too.
to go
It's
both
like,
ways.
If you're, like
You have to be also very secure.
exactly,
Yes. Yeah.
exactly.
There's so much we want to like talk about too. I do want to transition a little bit into motherhood because you became a mom at 39.
Yep.
Which a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s, they feel this pressure.
Yeah.
Of like, I need to have a kid by now.
Yeah.
And I think it's because growing up, you know, actually no, because our parents had kids older
bit,
too.
yeah.
But like it's common for the older generation to have kids younger.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas nowadays, people have children older.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know a little bit of like the positives and the negatives to that.
I mean, I don't know any different, right? So it's hard for me to speak on that, but I can say the positives. Like, people are like, oh, don't you wish you had them younger? I'm like, no, did you know me younger? Like, no, I wasn't ready. I was not patient. I was dealing with all my own issues and baggage that I wanted to, like, you know, get through. And I feel like I had my daughter at the exact perfect time in my life because I have all this like life knowledge and wisdom and patience most of the time.
It's hard.
It's very hard. But no, I'm super happy with when I had her. My only, I guess, the downside is like, you know, you think about like how old you are and like mortality, but also nothing is granted either.
Yeah.
So you can't really think about that. But then I think about like the fact that I would have loved for her to have a sibling, and oh my God, there's a spider on the wall.
No, I can't. I can't.
Oh my God.
By the way, this is Christina's biggest fear.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, sorry guys, we
Wait,
got
I have to put this
interrupted.
closer.
I
There we
got
go.
interrupted by a spider.
Yep.
we don't have to talk about it.
No. All good.
I don't remember what we were talking about though.
Me neither.
What were we saying?
Motherhood. Oh yeah. So becoming a mother later in life.
Oh, yes.
Has its challenges, its benefits as well.
Oh yeah, I was saying about how I would have like loved to have a sibling for
Yes.
her. But yeah.
I mean, you're at a point now where like you could make the decision.
Yes,
but it would have to be kind of.
It has to be like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation that I don't know, you
Yeah,
know, but
yeah.
but maybe like, but if I were younger, it would have given me more time.
Yes.
And I probably would have.
Yeah, because
know?
you and your brother are 6 years apart.
Exactly. I actually like the age gap, you know, and I get for parents, like maybe it's like not fun to go back into babyland. So once you're out of it, but there is something nice about like having one kid that's like,
I could say firsthand with a 4-year age gap, it was even though it was so long since I did the baby thing, I had to like relearn stuff.
Yeah.
It's
so nice.
a breeze.
Yeah. It's not like you don't have 2 kids under 2 type of thing, you know?
Like in that sense, it was so much easier.
Yeah.
Well, no, because by the time Rue was born, Arky was what, 4 years old? Almost 4?
4 and 2 months.
Yeah, so he was already like walking, talking.
Yeah,
like,
he
of
was
course, he's
helping me.
still like very young,
Yeah.
but he helps.
Yeah, he was
yeah, and
helping
he's
me a
potty
ton.
trained, like all those
Exactly.
things, you know?
So how then, because you're an actress,
Yeah.
so it's like, also, is that the right verbiage? An actress?
Yeah.
Can you
Actress,
say
actor,
it
doesn't matter. No.
How does that work then because you're a full-time stay-at-home mom?
Yep.
Because Sienna's with you.
Yep.
How does that work then? And how do you plan, like in the future as she
Planning
gets older?
is no.
Okay, so it doesn't exist.
Planning in our lives is hard
Yeah.
because everything can just get sideswiped by a job or
Right.
anything. So
Yeah.
we always make like kind of plans
Right.
that always get messed up.
Did you have an idea when you were pregnant? Like, did you sit down with Grayson and you're like, listen, like I want to be home with her, or I want to go back into work? 'Cause your
No,
mom
I
did that.
didn't. I didn't. I'm I'm a person who likes to like go with the flow, even with the birth plan. Like you like have a birth plan. I'm like, my birth plan is whatever I want in the moment is what I want. Like that's my birth plan.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my life.
You figure it out as you go.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll see what I want when the time is there.
So you're not type A?
No, I'm not. I mean, maybe in some ways, but like definitely not. I'm not like a planner.
Okay.
I don't. There obviously though, when I got pregnant, there are things you just instinctively think about as a mother.
Yes.
Like, you know, there are definitely things that I was like, because we live on Salt Spring Island, which is really far from my family. And I was like, it's extremely important for me that we spend a lot of time in Montreal.
Yeah.
She needs to know my family. I want her to not see them once a year.
Yeah.
So the things like that.
Well, we grew up all very close.
Exactly. And so, but that was an easy conversation.
Yeah.
Like I have a condo and like a pied-à-terre in Montreal. So that's, and he was like, yeah, of course. Like, sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
I know, our family. It's like so hard. I'm trying to.
I know. I'm like, okay. But now the one thing that is kind of difficult is school, because we live somewhere, like we live on this beautiful island. We're very lucky, but there's not ever work on that island.
Okay.
Because it's not like a film hub,
No,
right?
Like you would have to travel.
Either one of us would always have to go somewhere for work. So in that case, if he works or if I work, the family would be split apart if she's in school.
Right.
Which I don't love. And so like, we're thinking about homeschooling the first few years at least, just so we don't split the family apart.
Right. Would you get a teacher to come homeschool, or would you?
No, I would do it. I like the idea of it for sure. But then if I were, I think so. And then, I mean, really, when you look at the curriculum, it's 2 hours a day.
No way.
Yeah. Most of the day at school is like childcare. And so it's 2 hours a day. And I'm like, I do that already.
Yeah,
like,
you're already
hi,
teaching
mama.
Hi, Mama. I'm so sorry. We're almost done filming.
Yeah. I didn't know you were home.
We love
so
you.
Nice to see you.
We'll chat with you as soon as we're finished, okay?
Oh my God, I love her.
Oh, she's our grandma.
Yeah,
We've
she's
talked
amazing.
about her
Okay,
a bunch.
perfect,
Yeah. So
she lives at my parents' place. This is where we're recording right now.
I didn't realize she was home. Obviously, she's home. She lives here.
She's so quiet.
Yeah, she's quiet. Okay, sorry. So we were saying the homeschool. Yeah, and so
because
2
the
hours a day
curriculum
is like,
is like
I do that already, like
Yeah.
with stuff. And so I'm thinking of doing that. We're not 100% sure yet. Like
you have time.
We have time, and also, like now my partner's on this show, and if it gets picked up again, like, you know, it's like all these things, we don't know our future, or if I book something else, like,
exactly.
So we just keep the like ball rolling, and we figure out, we go with the flow.
Yeah. Do you find it hard balancing work with motherhood?
I can't believe women have children and have had jobs.
No, like
up until like I am so in awe of every person that has a child and a job. Like,
I mean, look, your mom.
No, I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
So yes, it's really tough. I've worked an okay amount since she was born, but there was like a strike, and there was like a lot of stuff that the industry kind of stopped. Not for lack of trying though.
Yeah, of course.
It's not like I was like, I'm taking time off. There's no maternity leave in the industry. So I got like 6 weeks disability, and that was it.
Yeah.
But no, I did a lot of voice work because I work a lot in voice. So I did a lot of voice work because I could do it from home. I have like a studio in my closet. So that's been wonderful. And then I've only had 2 like on camera jobs. The first one was pretty simple because it was just in Vancouver. Right. So we brought my mother-in-law with us, and she helped. And then the second one was just recently in March and April, was 3 weeks away in Prince Edward Island while we were all in Toronto. And that took me so long to decide to do it because I tried to make it work for my daughter to come, but like the logistics just weren't working out. So the only way I could do it was if I went alone, and I've like never left my daughter. So leaving her for 3 weeks. Also, she was going through really bad separation anxiety at the time. Yeah. She was like crying if I like left the room. Yeah. Was such a tough decision, and in the end was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Yeah. But I couldn't have done it without like my friends who are actresses, like who are also mothers. Like I would like lean on them and call them and ask them what they did, and they were so supportive and helpful and like reassuring. Yeah. And also our nanny and my partner and my mother-in-law and our aunt. Yeah. Like I called in the troops. Like we had such a good support system. But also like I actually had turned down the job.
No way.
Because I was trying to make it work, and I couldn't make it work with my daughter coming with me. And at the time I was still breastfeeding. So I was I didn't even think about her not coming with me. Like it wasn't an option. And it couldn't work because like I couldn't get people to come help, and I wasn't going to like hire a nanny that I'd never met. She had never even been with a nanny at that point. Anyways, so I kind of turned it down, not because I didn't want to do it. I really wanted to do it. And the director, Michael Gabriele, and the producer, Tina Carbone and Jason Levangi, like, they were like, no, can we have a FaceTime? Yeah. And my agent was like, they want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And they were like, the director. And I, as an actress, my fear was always like, once I'm a mom and I'm like a bit inconvenient, they're never going to want to hire me again. Cause like you have to ask for like an extra room or like all these things. And he was just like, first things first, I just want you to know that like, there's no one else we want for this role.
Wow.
And like, they were like, and I want you to know that I feel the weight of your decision. He's like, I have a 3-year-old at home and I totally understand. And he's like, I just want you to know that we're not going to offer this role out to anybody else. We're going to do everything we can to like consolidate the dates and like make this work. And we'll circle back and then see. Like, you are the only person we want. I was so touched and moved by that whole conversation. It's not what I ever imagined would be the conversation around motherhood. That's not the case all the time. But they were so accommodating and we made it work. My friend Vanessa, who's an actress and a director, I was at her house the day before I had like my deadline to actually tell them. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can. And she was like, Cristina, don't take her. I was like, huh? Like she's like, don't take her. She's like, all those people you were going to bring with you to PI, can't they just come to Toronto? And then she's home. And I was like, I hadn't even thought of it.
She's in her environment.
Yeah,
her dad is there.
She's like, she's like, also she comes and your hours are crazy. It was a horror movie. And in the end, it was so tough. I also got like so sick while I was there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Didn't you have like laryngitis?
I had laryngitis, bronchitis, filming a horror movie. Like, anyway, it was honestly rough, but when I came back, it was so fun. It felt so good to like do something. It was honestly one of my favorite movie sets I've ever been on.
Can we talk about like what the movie's called when it's coming out?
We can't talk about what the movie's called because I think it's still a working title. Okay. But we can talk a little bit about the movie. It's an independent like horror Christmas movie that's set on like an Italian family.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more I'm allowed to say. And
let's not say anything just in case.
Let's just not. But I can say that it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life.
Yeah.
The cast was so amazing, and we were all actually individually going through our own like traumatic life things. So we kind of trauma bonded, all of us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And actually, the woman who was playing my mother in the movie has played my grandmother in something else.
Oh,
and
wow.
She's also Italian. It was like Italians.
Yeah.
I felt so like I was like pouring my heart out. They were, it felt really nice and it was super fun. Like,
'cause you guys just wrapped.
Yeah, we just wrapped and they're, working on distribution right now and festival stuff. So I don't know anything about it, but
when we do, guys, we will make sure to definitely chat about it.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, now this transitions perfectly because remember before I was like, wait, I have a really good question.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I don't know like how intense your like scenes were in this movie, but like how do you handle a really intense scene where you're like crying or screaming or it's just like very emotionally intense?
Yeah.
Like how does that feel? How do you prep for it?
It's changed a lot because I've been doing this for like 25 years now. And at the beginning of my career, I remember anytime there was like crying in a scene, I'd be like, so much pressure, which is very normal. Like most people feel that way. It's hard to cry on cue. And I'd be like listening to music or like smelling smells that remind me or like looking at pictures or thinking about like all these things.
Sad things.
Yeah. Which like sometimes would work and sometimes would block me. And it's really hard. And now it just happens now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're able to just get there.
Yeah. I feel like now I can do it with breath. I just like really ground myself. It's like laser focus.
Yeah.
I think about the scene. I don't really think about other things. I think about what's happening in the moment.
Do you feel like you become the character a little bit?
I mean, I always feel like I just am the character. Okay. I don't think about like becoming a character. Okay. I don't like separate it so much. Okay. Not that I'm method acting or anything. Right. It just blends together for me. Especially this character. She's an Italian, like American, I just felt like it, like even her dress, I was like, I would totally wear that. Like, you know what I mean? It felt very much like me. So I didn't have trouble with that. And the movie was wild because it's kind of like, it's not zombies, but like kind of, it's not like real.
Yeah.
So that element, like fantastical element of it was like not realistic, but the stakes of the scenes, like without spoilers, like if someone dies or someone gets like disfigured, like that is enough. If I'm focused, that's enough for me.
Okay.
And breath work.
Okay.
I find like actually like when you think about, I have a really amazing acting coach, Leslie Kahn, who I still use. She's also a mentor. She's in LA and she's truly a genius and an angel. She always talks about like when you have to cry, like instead of like digging up all your like dead relatives or whatever, she's like, just like, how do you stand when you cry? How do you breathe when you cry? Make that start with that, because your body then will just cry because that's like what it does. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's kind of like an outside in approach instead of an inside out approach. You still have to be thinking character thoughts. Like, so I'll just think in the moment, like whatever my character would be thinking, adding on the physical aspect, and it'll just happen.
Because I've always thought about that, specifically with crying, because crying is not something that in the average person's life that you just do for fun.
Most people try not to cry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I haven't cried in years.
Oh my God, I cry like literally all the time.
Crying.
Also, becoming a mom, you're going to cry all the time.
I cry a lot.
Yeah, we all cry a lot.
But I always wondered that, because I'm like, I feel like it'd be easy for me to cry. I would just think of something sad. But not just that. You are around a cast and crew.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people
they're also
around
like fixing
you.
your hair, fixing your makeup. People are making jokes and
watching
laughing.
You,
and like,
and then on top of it, you're doing the same scene multiple times.
Yes.
So it's not just like got the take, because maybe the other person, you know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of things. So
yeah, there's so many elements. You have to be ready to cry like many, many, many times. And this movie horror movies are tough for that reason, because the emotions are so high.
Yeah.
For most of the movie, it's not like one scene.
And
it's like
screaming.
Literally after the first 10 minutes, it's all like shit show. You know what I mean?
Was your adrenaline like?
Yes, I also had bronchitis and laryngitis. It was wild.
Yeah.
But the crying, to me, like, especially when the other characters in the scene are also so focused, it was I don't want to say it was easy, but it was
more natural.
It was more natural. I mean, it was hard to stay that focused. That's the part. But I've through doing a lot of meditation and yoga and like years of doing this, I can like, you can be doing my hair and makeup and people can be talking and I could just be doing like, I'll just close my eyes and I just focus.
Yeah.
You know, you can't ask everybody to be quiet. And that's something I learned in acting school. They're like, you have to learn how to create your own bubble when other stuff is going on around you, because that's just the reality of it. It's chaos until it's action.
Is there like a movie or like a specific scene in a movie that like would be your dream role to act out with a specific actor or actress? Like,
that's a good question. Like as director or as an actor? An actor.
Like a fellow cast member that like...
Actor and director.
Yeah, that's I guess true. That's a good question.
I really love Greta Gerwig.
I mean, her.
She's just incredible.
Yeah.
I love Sarah Polley. Do you know Sarah Polley?
She's a director?
She's a director. She's also an actress. She was actually just in an episode of The Studio. Are you guys watching The Studio?
No.
Oh my God, I love this show.
It's good?
It's a Seth Rogen show.
Okay.
It's so good, and I love any movie or TV show about making movies or TV shows.
Okay.
Like Singing in the Rain, which is my daughter's favorite movie right now. But like, I love movies about movie making.
Yeah.
I just love the industry.
Yeah.
But like sort of the glamorized part of the industry that's not actually like that. But I love those types of movies. So anyway, she was just in that. She's also an actress. But then there's also some like, I really love French and Italian films. So there's some like directors and actors that I would love to work with. But I don't necessarily, need to work with anybody famous. I love working with people who are just, who care and who are like generous with their energy. I know that sounds like such a like cliche word, but
but who you work with though, it really does change everything.
So for example, I just did an episode of a show that just aired on Fox called Alert Missing Persons Unit.
Yeah. Okay.
And the lead actor of that show is an actor named Scott Conn, who's an incredible actor. His father was James Caan, who was in like The Godfathers, and he's like very famous. Yeah. So he grew up in acting, and working with him was amazing because he's so good, and he so knows what he's doing, and he's so like natural and connected and like aware of like like he's just so good. Like it elevates your acting when you're with someone who's so good. And so I didn't know I wanted to work with him before I worked with him, but then I worked with him and I was like, oh my God, I hope we work together again,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of actors like that. I mean, even the actors I just worked with on this movie, like not necessarily anybody super famous, but like you just in a moment with somebody and that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I
love that.
You know what's funny actually? Because now I'm thinking like, is there someone specifically that I would want to like act with? And do you know Martin Short?
Yes.
I feel like he would be so fun to act with.
He would be. So that type of actor, I love like someone who is super spontaneous and what I would call like dangerous, because you don't know what they're going to do.
Who is this person?
Oh my gosh, Alex.
Sorry, I like feel embarrassed.
He's a Canadian legend.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
he's older,
I need to show you.
and he's in
Only Murders in the Building.
Steve Martin. Okay. She'll show you a picture.
He's like a comedian too.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, and like Steve Martin. All those
Steve Martin.
They're amazing.
Something about Martin Short though, like his energy.
I know,
like
he's
I just
hilarious,
love him.
Yeah. I mean, I love Penelope Cruz is one of my favorite actresses.
Love her.
She's so
what
incredible.
What about like
you could be
like,
oh my god, I think I would be super intimidated to work
with
Meryl Streep.
Chris, I feel like the movies I'm thinking of that Penelope Cruz has been in would be perfect roles for you.
Thank you. And yes, like I look at her career and I'm like, I would love that type of career. Her career spans multiple languages.
I love that.
Which I am it's so different acting in different languages. Like it brings out something different in you.
Yeah.
Also, she does a lot of drama, but she also does, she's so wickedly funny.
I love that.
I love that. And she also like, she's beautiful, but she's not like traditionally beautiful. And she does roles where she's like,
she's exotic.
Yeah. And I just love her career. I also really love Sandra Bullock.
Okay.
I love her career. Like she also does drama, but also like Miss Congeniality. She's so funny.
She's so funny.
There's lots of actresses that I find incredible. Like
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner.
Love
she's
her.
So cute.
So you have like a pretty big range then, that you're not like specific to like, I love to do this type of art or I love to do this. It's kind of like, I'm open to doing comedy. I'm open to doing
I love doing comedy. Okay. It's so fun. But I also like doing
it's hard.
It's so much harder.
Like everyone says, oh, comedy's easy. It's
no,
like,
it's actually harder. It's actually harder.
Is there a lot of, for comedy, is there a lot of, what's it called? Improv.
Depends on the comedy.
Okay.
Some is like, actually, like if you think of something classic like Friends, which I know you love, like there's no improv there. It's all like science, like scripted. The jokes are every 3. It's like, it's really like a music. It's a dance and you got to follow that script. Yeah. The pacing is very important. Other things that maybe have improv are
The Office had a lot of improv.
Exactly. But very different style of show.
Yeah, very different.
I did not grow up doing improv, and I get so intimidated and in awe of actors who are like very good at improv. Like I it's something I want to improve actually. But yeah, I mean, I like it all. What I like is the right project of people coming together, you know? And
I feel like, sorry, I'm like making this about me, because now I'm like putting myself in your shoes as an actress, because I find like the thought of being an actress, like it sounds so fun. Like you're
it's
like
a fun
basically
job.
a
it's
kid
definitely a fun job.
in the moment, like acting out.
Very lucky to be doing
I feel like if I was an actress, I would be doing method acting, which I know is like a little bit like some people are like really like, oh no, that's not the greatest. And I would love doing improv.
Yeah.
Really? Like I find it so fun.
Well, those two will really go well together actually, because to do improv, you have to be very much in character and think in character. And that's really what method is. You just kind of stay in character. So you'd probably be able to like.
So method acting though, just to make sure that like I have the right definition, that's when like you literally become the character even when you're not on screen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You kind of live in the character until you finish filming.
So like Heath Ledger when he was playing Joker.
Exactly.
That was method acting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. No, listen, the reason I think a lot of actors stay away from it is because as much as when you're acting, you know what you're doing is not real and is pretend, your body doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Like when I'm crying on set, I'm pretend crying, but I'm not pretend crying. I'm really crying. So like there's a balance that I personally, I need to break out. I need to break out. I need to go home and be me.
Yeah.
Because you get really lost. I tried method when I was in theater school a little bit in some of the stuff just to like see, and it put me in a weird headspace. I didn't like it. Yeah. I was like, if I have to do this, I think I don't want to be an actress. Like it's not for everyone, but I get the appeal and I get the result, but I don't think you need to do that to get the result. I do think though that it's all such a personal process that there's no like one way to do anything.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
It's totally whatever works for you.
Because what's his name again? The Phoenix guy.
Joaquin Phoenix,
when he played Joker as well. Yeah. Wasn't he also doing method acting?
I think he was,
I find this so interesting because also when it comes to acting, like I have so many questions because I find it sounds so fun to be an actress, but then I had a job one time and I was the social media coordinator and we had this like Facebook group and there was like a bunch of like distributors that we had in this Facebook group. And because I was like the social media girl, I had to be in the videos and kind of educating people, updating them on like new products we had. And we would always have to, like, we wanted to kind of make it like a entertaining for our distributors. Yeah. So we would come up with these like scripts. Right. And like I'd have to memorize the lines and like act. Yeah. And it's so freaking hard.
I know people think acting is easy.
That's such a different thing. That's more like hosting. Hosting is a different, because if, do you know what I mean? You're not in like a fiction. You're not like a character. You're kind of playing yourself. Oh, they're kind of That's very different. Yeah.
True. Yeah, because it felt very.
That's hard. Yeah.
But also memorizing the lines.
Yeah, that part of it sucks. Like nobody likes memorizing lines, and you just have to do it. Like that's sort of the like brunt work of the job.
And you're also memorizing it when you're in character too.
No, so I don't memorize in character.
Really?
Yeah. No, I just like, I get like, say I have an audition, which that's when you memorize so often, like so quickly. I like get the audition, I'll read it through, get a vibe for it, and then I'll just memorize it. Mm-hmm. And as you're memorizing it, you're kind of working on the character. Everyone does it in a different way. Yeah. But I'm not in character when I'm memorizing. I'm usually like washing the dishes or going for a walk. Like I'm just doing something, because the memorization part is like the boring homework you need to do in order to be able to put the character on it without thinking about your lines.
So by the time you're actually in character and you're acting, you're saying the lines, it's like second nature to you.
Yes,
you're not even
exactly.
Thinking about it.
Exactly. No, if I'm thinking about my lines, I can't. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to stay in the moment.
That's what was hard for me.
Well,
it was
hard.
Like I couldn't separate like the remembering what my lines were versus like actually.
You have to be like so prepared. Auditions are different because often the turnaround is so quick, so you don't. Yeah. So I usually have my sides. What they call them sides that you read, and I'm pretty good at just like looking and staying in the moment. That's fine, like they know you're looking at it. But when you're working on a show or on a movie or on a TV show, like I need to know my lines, like it needs to be second nature. Yeah. Because then there's elements of like an actor doing something surprising or an emotion coming up that you're not expecting. Yeah. And if you are not really certain on your lines, emotion will throw your lines out the window. Whoa. Because you have like a new feeling. Yeah. And then, so you have to know it like more than you think you know.
Well, yeah. I want you to be able to talk about your projects. And so do you have anything that you are planning on working on or wanting to work on, or any projects coming up sometime soon?
Well, I have a project that's just released that my episodes are coming out soon. Okay. It's DC High Volume Batman podcast. It's amazing. For DC. I play Sophia Falcone, and it's really, really, really immersive and cool. And that's available on like anywhere you get podcasts, and it's free. And so I think my first episode airs next week.
Okay, so, amazing.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called DC High Volume Batman.
Okay.
Like
DC
long,
Comics.
yeah, exactly. DC Comics.
I'm so excited. I'm
and then obviously the movie that we chatted about will be eventually.
Yeah.
And then how can people find you? How can they
you can find me on Instagram. That's really the spot for me. I'm at Rosato, Rosato, and that's where I'm at. Follow me, and
And if you have any questions, you guys, like, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can also like DM us, DM Cristina if you have any questions regarding acting or motherhood or whatever. Yeah. We're always we're happy to answer.
Totally. And we'll probably do this again.
Yeah, I think it's so fun. We talk a lot. Yeah. So this is perfect.
It's definitely in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's genetic.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Thank
you girls for having me.
But like, thank you for taking the time to do this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, truly.
It's really, it's meaningful.
Yeah, same. Thank you, girls.
Sorry, I'm like just like off in the corner over here.
Hi, Kyla.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I hate this setup so much.
No, I can see you.
We're gonna have a different setup next time we have a guest. But we love you, and we'll chat soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.